All right, welcome to the GameFace Footy Show here at GameFace HQ in Studio 1. We are live, baby, live, doing this for SFNL Div 1. Can't wait to crack into some great football here. There's so much to get through, but first, right off the top, don't adjust your television sets or your mobile phones or whatever. This is the only time I wear black and white. It's not for the Collingwood Football Club. It is for the Glen Ira Griffins, as the coach called it in one of the other shows that we do. The Griffins, all right, the Griffins. I used to play for the Griffins. They were the Monash Griffins. They merged with Glen Ira. They've got this ugly, this is called an ugly jumper, and it's been made by Swivs Locker, one of the wonderful apparel partners of GameFace. Will, you've got one on too, mate. Just squeezed into one of those there, pal. Loving the way you look.
Yeah, mate. Good to see you, Robbo, and welcome to you as well, Donis. But yeah, mate, how fantastic do these look? Should probably get them for my club too, I reckon.
You should. John, you can get them for your club made up by Swivs Locker. I love them. What do you reckon?
I'll have to give the old Zavs a call and get him to get a red and black version of them.
Absolutely.
But Evander Lack probably, being the president, he would have sorted these out. So
good on you.
We'll bring them to the Griffins down there at Packer Park soon.
You love an active president, don't you? One that's out there just trying to make money for the club, and that's how you can do it with this sort of stuff. But let's
Swiv's best in the business. Got to say, these are comfy as hell and look great. So get on them.
They're warm.
They are.
Let's talk through the top stories, boys. Dingley suffer their first loss for the year. Morty and Chelt play out in a thriller. Pot Colts. That's hard to say. If you say it five times, you can say it 5 times really fast. Port Colts, too good for reigning premiers. I look forward to hearing about that one. Swivs Locker, I've talked about that. Let's go straight now to an injury update, because I know you've got a few for me there, Will and John. For Body First Health Group, what have you got?
Yeah, obviously not a great week on the injury front, Donners. We had some news last week. One of the absolute stars of the Cheltenham side, one of the new recruits, Mike Cook, out for the year.
Yeah, that's a big loss. Obviously, him and Dylan Weikart came along from Sandringham, and Mike Cook, the former Adelaide Crow, as well. He and Dylan Weikart were going to hold the key to Cheltenham's fortunes this year, and that's a very big loss for them, unfortunately, after 4 rounds.
Absolutely, a knee injury there, so he's out for the season. Best luck in your recovery, Mike. We hope to see you back ASAP. Also, East Malvern had a couple of big injuries over the weekend. Luke Duffy, who Vic Metro representative last season, formerly VFL listed, I think, at Port Melbourne, absolute star of the competition, confirmed today, Robbo, that he's done his ACL.
Yeah, you never want to hear that.
Another massive loss for East Malvern. He'll probably take up a role with in a coaching capacity for East Malvern, so he's not going to be lost there, but massive on-field loss there. And again, to you, Luke, we wish you all the best in your recovery there. The playing coach, Nath Robinson, got a knock to the knee during their game as well against Dingley. Didn't return after half-time. Touch and go for this week, but hopefully there's no structural damage for him. He's a good man, Robbo.
They're a bit banged up at the moment, it seems, East Malvern.
And still recorded a good win. Yeah. We'll get to that in a moment. And Joshie O'Donnell, a young fella from Port Colts, good young kid. He got KO'd over the weekend and went for scans. But, yeah, hopefully he'll be all right as well, Robbo.
Right, well, there you go. Get better, all of you guys that are injured, and we don't like to see any injuries, so even more luck to those guys that did those. Let's move to a game that was as tight as that jumper that Will's wearing right now. Morty Alec defeated Cheltenham 5-13-43 to 5-7-37. Only 5 goals for each team, but it was a thriller, Will.
It was. Obviously, it was a bit blustery over the weekend, wasn't it, Donners? So the wind was a little bit of a factor, blowing towards the scoreboard end of Ben Kavanagh, which is sort of across the ground, sort of made it a little bit hard to score at both ends of the ground. A couple of hard nuts in the best for Morty Alec there, and Marguglio and Ryan Semmel, Toddy Bastian as well. So hard contested footy there. Dan Nichols came back into the side, the ex-Collingwood Rover. Yep. He had a big impact in that last quarter, Donis.
Well, I mean, Morty will be very happy to bounce back after they lowered their colours against the week before against St Paul's. Sorry, not St Paul's, but they had a loss. They gave up a couple of goals in the last quarter. They lost to Oakley Districts, so they'll be happy to get back on the winners list. And obviously Cheltenham with no Mike Cook, and obviously only kicking 5 goals. Not a great day for them, but two teams that'll feature right at the top of the ladder, I reckon, throughout the year.
I'd hope so. McTaggart, the only multiple goal kicker, kicked 3 of their 5. Morty Alec had a bit more of the play, couldn't convert. 5-13, mate, not great kicking.
Yeah, no, not good. They're Robbo numbers.
Oh, thank you very much.
Love some of that, Robbo. Jack Barclay continued his great form. Mate, isn't he shooting the lights out down there at Jack Barker? Absolute star. And of course, a couple of young kids in the back line for for Cheltenham as well. Cam Blitzas and Cameron Taylor and Luke Garno. Just teenagers, these guys, and playing pretty well for Cheltenham. So the future is rosy.
Yeah, it's good. It's always good to see young blokes coming through, whether they be under 19s or in this case 17-year-olds. So for them to be able to and capable to play at the top level is always good to see. So you like the future being bright at footy clubs.
Happened to their Morty Alec coach Mick Brown, so he used to teach a couple of them. So
there you go.
Small world, isn't it?
There you go.
Well, Morty Alec, 13 points. Had they kicked straight, obviously this might have been a little bit different. Were they dominant, Morty Alec, over Cheltenham? I mean, the scoreboard can belie what's going on.
Well, as Donna said, it was a vastly improved effort from what they put up against Oakleigh District the previous week. But you got to take into account, obviously, the wind, which was blowing across the ground. As I said, made it a bit hard to score it at both ends. And, of course, the Cheltenham backline as well made it a little bit difficult for them to convert a few of their opportunities. So... yeah, not a great day for footy, I wouldn't have thought, on Saturday all round.
Righto, let's turn our attention now to Port Colts versus the top table. St Paul's 5-1 in the last quarter. Good game.
Yeah, St Paul's won't be happy with their last couple of weeks. They've dropped a couple, and obviously the reigning premiers. They're now the hunted, as you like to say in footy parlance. So teams are going to come at them pretty hard, and it's good to see. We saw Port Colts a couple of weeks ago against Dingley.
Looked impressive.
Wasn't the worst performance. They only lost by 12 points, so they're getting a roll on now, and a strong win over a pretty heavily fancied St Paul's side.
Exactly right. They are a great side, Port Colts, as to our St Paul's, but. They're really good on the outside, love to run and spread. They've got a lot of young kids that can really move the footy well. Hard to do on that small ground down there at JL Murphy. Have you been down there?
I haven't. So we'll have to venture down there throughout the year. I hear there's a brand new rooms going up though.
Yeah, which will be great when that's finally done. So full credit to Port Colts. Dalla Libera, the big ruckman. We saw him the other week. He tore it to pieces against...
Would have had 100 hit-outs.
Oh, yeah. He was probably the difference, I would have thought. Roving his own ruck work at various stages. Booted a couple of goals as well. Tom Nichols, who I think led the goal kicking for Port Colts last year, back in the side this week and had a bit of an impact. So good to have him back for the Colts. A bit more firepower down there.
Certainly. Matty Sondergeld, he started as well, and DeLuca, both of them had a good day. So some positive signs for Port Colts going forward after that unfortunate loss against Dingley.
Exactly right, and DeLuca enjoying his footy and playing some of the best footy he's had in a lot of years. Big shout out to their president as well, Steve Durbinjack, who's doing some great things down there on and off the field. Kicked the goal as well in the Magoo, so good on you, Duva, doing some great things. And some players that stood out for St Paul's for you?
Matt Herbstraight and Will Clark, they were pretty good for mine.
And Muller with
Muller kicked 4 goals as well.
Of their 7.
So they'd be disappointed, as we said, St Paul's, but I'm expecting them to bounce back over the next few weeks.
Exactly right.
Speaking of being disappointed, let's have a look now at Dingley, 6-14-50, defeated by East Malvern 14-13-97. You boys did not pick this one.
No, and the first point I want to make, apparently Chris Carey again has had another dominant performance. We saw him in round 1 against Morty Alec. This guy's 6 foot 1,000 and has the skills of Patrick Dangerfield. He does not miss a target. And I would hazard a guess that he's top of the table for the best and fairest league wide at the moment.
It's pretty fair assumption that he did very, very well last year. And one of the reasons why he sort of missed out was because he had a teammate in Ryan Mullett that pinched a lot of votes off him. So when you have 2 blokes on the podium from the one club, some talented players there. But you're right, he's in absolutely tremendous form. BOG in the Interleague last year, BOG for Vic Metro last year. He is some sort of player, this Chris Carey. Hard to get out.
And if he keeps going the way that he's going and giving their midfielders first use, they're going to win a lot of games again this year. They started slow, dropped their first 2, but that's a big win against Dingley.
Coming back with a vengeance. Key thing to note, no Robinson and no Duffy in the second half, both come off with knee injuries. Still kicked 9 goals to 1 in that second half.
It's a fair effort without two of your probably better players in the side. So they've obviously got some good depth down there as well. So, and there'll be a few players coming back through the twos from the twos who can come up to replace them. So, good team, good things going on down at East Malvern, and their new facilities looking phenomenal.
Yeah, right. I mean, Anywhere with new facilities these days, I mean, you just got to love it, because I've seen some pretty ordinary facilities in my time, and even at the Melbourne Football Club when I was there, they were terrible. So if you can get yourselves in something nice and new, it really does lift your players. So.
Lobby the council.
Yeah, you just got to get into that council. It does such great stuff for the community. When you've got good club rooms, everyone loves to get involved. Let's have a look at the other game here. Bentley 9-6-60 defeated Hyatt 8-5-53. Not what I suppose you'd say bottom of the table clash here. Hyatt struggling.
Yes and no. It's hard to pick sort of who the bottom sides are. It's a pretty even competition.
We probably underestimated Bentley a little bit in this one. We were talking during the week, and we were sort of going through who's going to win what games, and we probably thought Hyatt were going to win this game. And obviously they've only gone down by 7 points, so it wasn't their worst performance. But credit to Bentley. I mean, you and I were thinking, look, they haven't had the greatest start to the year, but maybe this is the win that just sparks them and gets them back in the hunt.
Yeah, and a tough slog in pretty ordinary conditions down there at Bentley. So sometimes you just got to win ugly Donners, and Pete Pereira will be pretty happy with that, I think.
Good on you, boys. St Kilda City 15-10-100 defeat Oakley Districts 7-9-51.
Brought back to earth, the Districts.
Yeah. After their stunning win over Morty Alec, Toby Green's brother starred, and him and Ryan Carroll starred, I guess. 9 goals between them, so from Ed Green and Ryan Carroll. But I mean, St Kilda City probably just going under the radar a bit at the moment. Had a good win after the sign a couple of weeks ago, and just sort of plugging along nicely.
Ryan Carroll, Sandringham listed. They had that little combine a couple of months ago, in fact, and Ryan Carroll got picked up. So some pretty handy players there for the St Kilda City side.
Well done, boys. Thanks for that. Great, a little bit of review of the round 4, and let's have a look now at the ladder after round 4. You can see Dingley, the Dingo, sitting on top there, and Hyatt down the bottom. I'll get you to talk through it, Will.
Well, if you look at the top 4 sides, Donners, there's some pretty solid teams, and a few that we sort of expected to be there. Your Dingleys, your Morty Alex, your Cheltenhams is one of the big improvers. Colts, East Malvern starting to make their move.
St Paul's not far off.
St Paul's out of the top 5, but if you have a look at it, Cheltenham in 3rd and Bentley in 8th, all on 2 wins. Just sort of really highlights how even this competition is.
If you look ahead, Will, anyone outside of that top 4 that you can see jumping back in?
St Paul's for sure, the reigning premiers. I mean, as you said, they've dropped a couple of games, but there's certainly ones to watch.
I like East Malvern.
Exactly. They're making every post a winner at the moment, but as you said, Duffy a big loss.
You can't crystal ball gaze too much. Only 4 rounds. Let's have a look at though. I want to get a prediction from you right now. Out of those teams there, who's going to be right up the top in your... So what you've seen after 4 games, who's going to be right up the top come season ends?
Well, I mean, I think from what we saw from Dingley a couple of weeks ago, I think that they're far and away probably that top echelon. Obviously had a loss, an unfortunate loss on the weekend, but all good teams have to have a loss at some point.
Yep.
And maybe that was just one that will spark them, and they'll just go back internally and say, look, we know what we did wrong. Now we'll move on and we'll keep going. I think Dingley and Morty Alec are probably going to be the two sides to beat. I think St Paul's will probably get their way back in there as well, but. Keep an eye on Cheltenham and Port Colts, I guess. So that sort of top 6 is probably
throw a blanket
over them, and just wherever they finish in any order.
You agree with that, Will?
Yeah, East Malvern still to have a bit of improvement as well. A lot of new players coming in this year.
They could be your bolter, East Malvern.
I think so. I tipped him for the flag. As much as Luke Duffy will be a massive out, I still expect him to be right up there to join the likes of Dingley and Morty.
Beautifully done. Something that I know all the players out there really can't wait for, to see if they're in the Division 1 Team of the Week. And you boys have worked really hard to put this together. Go from it. Back line to the interchange. I'll hand it over.
Full back line, Luke Barnhorn. I think he's been a consistent player in the Team of the Week from round 1. Tyron Bonnet from Port Melbourne Colts, and Dave Marguglio from Morty Alec.
The half-back line, Liam Sumner, he's just loving life as a Panther at the moment, keeps his spot. Will Clark from St Paul's, he slinks in at centre half-back, and Michael Rogers from Bentley, he had an outstanding game on the weekend. Actually had to move Luke Barnhorn, normally plays... had him at half-back flank last week.
Thrown him deep in defence for a bit of cover.
I just had to put Mike Rogers in there as well. He's been outstanding.
Fair enough. The centre line, Jack Barclay on the wing from Cheltenham. Matt Sondergeld has been a really good recruit for them this year from Port Melbourne, and Perry O'Hare Vargas on the other wing for St Kilda City.
Yeah, on the half-forward flank, Jackson Peake kicked 2 goals on the weekend. Mackenzie Bristow, geez, isn't he a player for East Malvern? The big fella moves really, really well, clunks them everywhere. Ryan Carroll as well, he kicked, I think it was 5 on the weekend. So, he's a player as well.
The other half of that forward combination's Ed Green, and he lines up in the forward pocket for us, brother of Toby. Matt Della Libera has had a really good start to the season from Port Melbourne Colts. He's at full forward, and Alex Highwood from East Melbourne. Just a crafty little forward, so he'll do some wonderful things in that forward pocket there.
Exactly right. Chris Carey, the number 1 ruckman, both he and Della Libera had outstanding games on the weekend in the ruck, but Chris Carey gets an nod as the number 1 ruckman. Della Libera had to squeeze the resting ruckman at full forward. Kicked 2 goals on the weekend, can kick for goal, but Chris Carey, absolute superstar. Ryan Semmel from Morty Alec, and Chris DeLuca on the ball, as we said. Chris DeLuca just really enjoying his footy at the moment. Played at a high level over at WA, and he's really making an impact down at Port Colts at the moment.
On the interchange bench, Luke Pousty from East Melbourne, Sam Lewin from Bentley, Danny Aids, who has been a huge part of Dingley's winning streak this year, and Jack Carosella from Oakley Districts round out the 22.
Carosella keeps his spot, but Sammy Lewin, I mean, he's been a solid contributor down back, but he was shown forward on the weekend and played centre half forward and clunked everything. Had a really, really good game in tough conditions, a couple of goals. So good inclusion there, Sammy Lewin. So well done to you, man.
Nicely done. That's the team of the week for Division 1. Let's move on now to round 5. Brought to you by Melsafe Beyond Blue Round.
Beyond Blue Round this week for Southern Footy League, which is really exciting. Beyond Blue obviously do some fantastic work for those with
suffering from depression
and anxiety,
and the like. Yes,
absolutely magnificent
Great
work.
organisation.
So, and well done to Southern League for supporting them. So, Oakley Port Colts is an interesting game of footy, Donis.
Well, I mean, we're not getting a great read on Oakley, are we? After that, as we said, that win over Morty Alec was something special, but they lowered their colours a bit last week. I can't in front of their home crowd. Maybe they'll come to play, but I can't go past Port Colts, who have been in good form the last couple of weeks.
Me neither.
All right, move on to the next game. Cheltenham versus St Kilda City.
Well, Mike Cook being out probably brings this one back a little bit, and as we said, St Kilda City going under the radar. I don't know, I might go with the upset. I'm going to tip St Kilda City.
I'll oppose you there. I reckon Cheltenham at home should probably get the chocolates in this one.
Two teams that'll be loving a victory if they can get over each other, I suppose. St Paul's and East Melbourne, they'll be fighting because they're right in the middle of the table there, and this could really set their season up, couldn't it?
Match of the round for me.
Yeah, for mine too. I reckon this will be an absolute bloody cracker.
Well, I mean, we saw St Paul's sitting 6th on the ladder. They'd want to win this one to really just get right back into the top 4. East Melbourne going well. We've talked about those 2 injuries, so I'm going to go with St Paul's to bounce back in this one, but in a very tight contest. Could go either way.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be much in it in the end either. East Melbourne, I really impressed with them on the weekend. The way they're starting to gel, they might have a couple of outs in Robbo and Duffy, but I still think they might have enough to get St Paul's. Although I did get burnt last time I tipped East Melbourne at Port Colt.
Sounds like you're having a bit each way, mate. Which one is it? You going East
Sitting
Melbourne?
on the fence, Wilbur.
You know what, bugger it, East Melbourne. East Melbourne will win this.
Well,
We're both going with an upset.
They come in with a bit of form, East Melbourne, so it's not such a bad bet there. We'll move on to the next game. Morty Alec travelling down to Hyatt. You'd think that they'd get the job done there.
I might do a number on Hyatt. I think, unfortunately, Morty Alec have got to prove to the rest of the competition that they're still a premiership threat and they'll win easily.
Yeah, I can't really see Hyatt getting super close to Morty Alec. I think Ryan Semmel's humming along beautifully, and their defence is standing up really strong. So I reckon Morty Alec in a canter.
Speaking of moving along quite nicely at the moment, Dingley hosting Bentley. They're sitting on top of the ladder, boys, loving it up there. I don't think Bentley have got enough to beat them.
Could be surprised. I think this could be the win that really sparks them into action. I think Dingley might be too strong, but Bentley will probably make them earn it.
Well, all the talk from the people I know that play at Bentley that they're raring to go and ready for this game, and they're giving themselves every chance to knock off Dingley and get their season on track. I don't agree. I think Dingley are going to win this contest.
I love it when you don't agree. It's fantastic. Good on you, boys. That's been a fantastic show.
No, I don't agree with the people that are telling me this at Bentley. I think
you went with Dingley?
Yeah, I went with
Sorry,
Dingley. I said that Bentley will probably give them a run for their money.
we went 2 different on the tips they threw out. One different each.
Yeah, I think, what was it?
I went with St Kilda City, you went with Cheltenham, I went with St Paul's, you went with East Molden.
Yeah.
Good on you, boys. That's a Beyond Blue round, and we'll just say that again. Fantastic effort, initiative by Lee Hartman there for the SFL. He's the man that's sitting up on the top of the tree there and making that sort of stuff happen. That's really good. Football everywhere can really send a great message out to the community. It happens everywhere. You see a lot of clubs doing great stuff in the community. It's fantastic.
It's okay to not be okay, and there's support where you need it. So,
well said. Good on you, Will. Thanks very much for your time today, mate. That's been the show. You, John Donahue, have been fantastic. I had to ask, mate, how was the weekend away with the Dale? You went away?
Good. Just down in Phillip Island, go-karting on the track, a bit of mini-golf, we had a bit of fun. Drinks
Go-karting? Mini-golf?
I'm a bit of a speed demon. I like getting out and doing things.
did you drive down there?
We did. I did drive down on Friday night, bit of traffic, which I don't like.
How many fines you got in the mail?
Nah, well, there wasn't. There was bumper to bumper, so I wasn't able to go.
No
quick
speeding
enough.
down there. Jeez, I've got to do the casino or something nice like that. Go-karting.
I don't think
well
there's a
done.
casino in Phillip.
No, I'm talking in the city. We've got to do the 5-star treatment.
Yes.
I'm looking after the Dale. Well played by you. Well played by everyone. We'll see you next week when we pick apart round 5 from the SFL Division 1.